Skeleton Key here. I'm gonna do just a little bit of a January reading wrap up. I finished 17 books in January. I kicked off the month with The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. That was a 1-star review, mainly because it was just really super boring. Pointless navel gazing. It didn't really engage me at any level, so. Then I finished off January with Tree of Dreams by Laura Risa. Of the books I finished in January, there are only 2 of which I still have access to physical copies. This is one of them. The other one, The Haunting of Tramcar 015, I have it somewhere. I don't know what it is about that book, but it just likes to disappear on me. I can't keep track of it. I have it here somewhere. And that one, it was excellent. I loved that. And I just recently, this is February, and so I just recently found out that A Dead Djinn in Cairo, which is the first book in that series, is actually a kind of a longish short story, is available for free on Tor.com. The Haunting of Tramcar 015, though, the protagonist, the investigator, is not the same investigator as in A Dead Djinn in Cairo. So just so you know, if you read A Dead Djinn in Cairo and really loved Fatma, she makes a brief cameo appearance in A Haunting of Tramcar 015. However, I loved them both. That's book 1, Unbearable Lightness of Being, book 17, Tree of Dreams by Laura Risa. Tree of Dreams follows, I think she's 12 or 13, follows this middle schooler on a trip to the Amazon rainforest. And there's lots of chocolate involved and lots of discussions about sustainability of natural resources, as well as lots of friendship stuff, because her best friend from childhood has been accepted into the cool group of kids at school, and so their friendship has kind of deteriorated, and they end up both going on this trip to the Amazon rainforest. So there's this opportunity to rebuild that friendship. It is not Own Voices. However, Laura Risa is a longtime advocate of Indigenous rights, and she has done a huge amount to boost Indigenous voices, and especially in terms of environmental activism. And that's one thing she even goes into in this book, is because here they are in the Amazon rainforest, and there is even discussion in this book of ecotourism and how damaging it is when people go to these places with their own little feel-good agendas, and really how harmful that is to progress, to all the heavy lifting that other people have to do. Disclaimer, I'm a middle-aged white woman, so take it for whatever it may be worth, but I am really impressed with Laura Risa and the work she has done for environmentalism and Indigenous rights and chocolate. I would guess that this counts as middle grade, so if you're doing middle grade March, this is a good one. So for the other 15 books, and I already talked about The Haunting of Tramcar 015, so the other 14 books, I tried doing like a forced ranking or or trying to put them into little star rating bins and everything, and I found out that because my star ratings are very gut oriented, it's like I finished the book and I'm like, well, that was a 3-star read, and so it's a 3-star review, even though when it comes time to do the forced ranking, I'm finding that, oh well, I gave this one 3 stars, but I actually liked it better than this 4-star book. So I don't I really don't think my star ratings or my forced rankings are useful to you. Let me know if you think otherwise, and I'll see what I can do. But I think it's kind of pointless, so I have no plans of doing that. Yeah, so, but I will link below to my blog on Goodreads, which is where I post things like, and I will link directly to the blog post that lists all 17 books. And I mean, I don't say a whole lot else. I do plan to review all of these. I'm behind on my book reviews because I'm always behind on my book reviews. But if you are looking for a more in-depth look at some of these books, that's probably a good place to start, is that blog post, and you can check and see if I finally got around to reviewing the book you're interested in. I do want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that I'm working on this year, and of course some of them are specific to their month. So like Buzzwordathon, and I think I've already talked about this a little bit in other videos, but Buzzwordathon, the buzzword for January was dream, and I read Tree of Dreams. So, and that was the only dream book I read last month. I have so many more, but that's the only one I actually read. And then Genreland, the theme was science, and I only read one actual nonfiction book about science, and that was Gulp by Mary Roach. Wasn't really my style. I did learn a few things. A lot of stuff, though, I already at least knew enough for my comfort level. I'm pretty squeamish, so a lot of it I was just like, really, do we really need to talk about this? So it was probably fine. I think a lot of people would really like that. It just wasn't really my kind of book. Gulp is all about digestion, the alimentary canal. I really don't need to know that much about how biology works. And the thing is, biology is an interesting subject in the abstract, but you start getting concrete like that, and I'm just like, ew, really don't want to know this. So, but that's just my personal squeamishness. So if learning all about digestion sounds like something you want to read, Gulp is probably a pretty good book to read for that. Let's see, for fiction, I read Killer Chardonnay, which was a cozy mystery, but it's set in a winery, and so there's a lot of talk about fermentation science, and then there is also some discussion of the forensic science, cause of death, that sort of thing. So there's some forensic science in there as well. There's some discussion of photography equipment and the science of developing photographic prints and that sort of thing. And then Sisters of the Vast Black, it was science fiction, and that it was set on a living spaceship, sort of like, sort of like in Farscape, and so there's some talk of how that works and how the spaceships are bred. And then there's also very key to the plot is this disease. So there's some talk of what causes it and that sort of thing. So there's some epidemiology in there. Hanging Falls is a police procedural. One of the major characters is a veterinarian, and there's usually some veterinary science in all of those books. the main character, of course, is Maddie Cobb, and she's the handler for the canine Robo. So there's always a lot of talk about the science involved in what Robo does. And then there's also some forensic science in general. And then, let's see, Tree of Dreams, which I've already talked about quite a bit here. But that was, there was actually some fermentation science in there because it deals a lot with chocolate. And I had never realized that fermentation is actually a very important part of chocolate production. But there is a lot of talk of the science involved in chocolate production, and also some environmental science. Let's see, Winterween. Now I can't even remember. I think I've done a whole separate video on Winterween. Have I posted it yet? I don't know. I should check and see. But I think somewhere I've got a whole video where I talk about Winterween. But I read several books for that. Did not completely succeed at Winterween, but I did get some good Winterween reading in. So for my year-long challenges, I did pretty well. Of course, in January, it's pretty easy to do well, to get on track for the month of January on a lot of these challenges, because you read a book and there's probably a way to slot it into a prompt somewhere on the challenge. I mean, you've got on a challenge for 52 books, you've got 52 prompts, and chances are most of the books you read are going to fit somewhere in those 52 prompts. So I did pretty well. The Sirens reading challenge for both 2020 and 2021, I'm way behind on that, as usual. And then the audio sync challenge, I didn't even start that until, I didn't even really identify that until the middle of January, that, oh yeah, I should do this. So I'm behind on that. Hopefully I'll start getting caught up as the months go by. And then there's this penguin horoscope thing, and I've started a whole nother video, and it was supposed to be the start of a video series, but I think I may just end up scrapping that. I'll let you know more on that later, but yeah, I have made zero progress on that, and I am kind of frustrated, but I'm not terribly sad about it. Like I said, I just wanted this to be a super quick wrap up for January. So let me know how your January went now that it's way past, it's almost the end of February. But yeah. If you have questions or comments about any of the books that I read, I'd love to chat with you in the comments below. And in the meantime, please like and subscribe, and see you around.